Hey, I'm Sarah at Life with Training Wheels here for today's daily astrology. Generally, I do these as shorts. However, I have missed a few days this month, but today we are doing astrology in hindsight. The energy is still very potent. So yesterday, Wednesday, December 10th, we had Neptune stationing direct. I didn't post anything about this yesterday, honestly, because I was just sitting with this energy, trying to decide where to go with it, because it's honestly so big. And every astrologer I've listened to has a little bit different take on we all know it's big, but we all are feeling the energy a little bit differently, or maybe explain it a little bit differently. So I do recommend listening to, as many astrologers talk about this as you can. But one thing we can all agree on is it is the final closeout of a major cycle. So Neptune stationing direct at 29 degrees of Pisces, being the last degree of the zodiac, is a big deal, and nobody's arguing that. Any final degree of a sign is called a critical degree, but then when it's the final degree of the entire zodiac, it's a big deal. And Neptune's journey through Pisces for us individually, where it's been since 2011 and 2012, but it also is ending its larger 160-year-ish cycle, and that's an even bigger deal. And although we haven't been alive for that entire cycle, we as a collective are playing a part in that larger cycle as well. So I am, a lot of what I spent yesterday doing was researching Neptune's overall cycles and what it has meant throughout history, particular periods in history for collective evolution, especially as it is in relation to religion and spirituality and things like that, since that is kind of one of the many things that Neptune represents. But that'll be a later, more deep dive video, probably closer to next year when Neptune moves into Aries. So the reason why this stationing direct is a big deal is because, number one, it's at that 29th degree. Number two, this is its final go through in our lifetimes of being in Pisces. And next January, it is going to start, it's going to move into Aries and start its new cycle. And moving into Aries is going to be a big deal too, because come February, when Saturn moves in there, they're going to be exactly conjunct, and that's a huge deal, a very, very, very rare thing. But I'll have more videos about that too. So that's one reason why, number one, I haven't known where to go with this, because all of the movements that Neptune is doing is very big. It's a very big deal and signifies a lot in our collective environment, but also for us personally. So what I'm going to do in this video is a couple things. First, I'm going to just briefly go over kind of what this means collectively, what this stationing direct means collectively, and then I'm going to go into the chart a little bit more and kind of use my chart as an example of how you can look at this energy and see how it might be affecting you more personally. I'm not going to go into each rising sign, but if you do comment below the video and want a little help interpreting or something like that, I can certainly help out. But I just kind of want to teach you as well how to look at your own chart on your own to go through this. So on a collective level, Pisces is about the hidden realms, right? It's the unseen. It's it's a sign of spirituality. It's a sign of compassion, of love, of grace. It's a sign of that oneness, that connection to all that is, that one love, that one spirit, that blur between the separation between us and spirit, us and each other. Like, that is a lot of what it encompasses. It also is where it might lack boundaries. That's kind of why it's the sign of spirituality, right? And Neptune is also about those things. Neptune is the planet of the dreamer, of the creative, of the visionary, of looking out at the world and dreaming the best possible version of it. It is also the higher octave of Venus. So Venus, you think about it being relational love. Neptune is the higher octave, so it's like that God love, that like unconditional love. But it also lacks boundaries, so it can be where we are deceived, where things are really foggy, right? Because sometimes when you're dreaming things, you lose sight of reality. So it can be where we lose sight of reality. It can be where we easily fall victim to being deceived and things like that. And so this stationing direct, number one, should have us feeling a little bit more clarity, because especially when it's retrograde, the energy is more internal, but it also is kind of a little bit more foggy. So stationing direct, we should be feeling a little bit more clarity around what things are real and what things aren't. We should have a little bit better discernment. And with both Pisces and Neptune, that is the kind of the hard part about them, and kind of the lesson of them is learning discernment. And because the universe is divinely created and set up to help us out, I do think that is part of the reason why Saturn has been traveling through Neptune with Pisces right now, is to help us with that discernment. Saturn is very much the material world, so this is where dreams and visions meet reality. So we're being helped in kind of figuring that out. And these two planets are working together in two different ways. In one way, Saturn represents on a more personal level, it represents maybe like where we have built up unhealthy walls, or them both combined, where we have been living in victim mentality, just the unhealthy walls that we've had. Neptune is there to dissolve them, or any unhealthy structures that we've built up in our life, or any unhealthy relationships with power that we've had. Neptune is helping to dissolve those. But on the flip side, Saturn likes to build things up, right? Saturn likes to build the foundation. It likes structure. It likes organization. It likes rules and things like that. So, after we tear things down and dissolve things that need to be dissolved, Saturn is here to help build us back up. Healthier versions, healthier structures, healthier, instead of walls, boundaries. Building boundaries with love too, right? Since Neptune is compassion and love. Like, it's okay to have boundaries, and you can have boundaries with love, which I think a lot of people forget or don't realize. And then on a more collective level, it is Neptune is dissolving the structures of the world as we know it, whether that is our governments, our corporate institutions, religious institutions, like everything in our financial systems, like everything in our world, we can all see that it's all being dismantled. Every industry, right, is collapsing right now. Governments are collapsing right now. financial systems are collapsing right now. Pretty much all industries are collapsing, or we can see it on the horizon, right? And so Neptune is helping dissolve those things because they haven't been good to us. They haven't been for our highest and best good as a collective, and there's a reckoning going on with it right now. And this is the final pass of that. From now until the end of January, when Neptune enters into Aries, like, this is the final destruction of what needs to be destroyed for our collective highest and best good. And on the flip side of that, Saturn is coming in to help collectively build new structures in its place, or to help us like stand our ground and know what things we want to materially come back to, as well as helping us stay grounded, because Saturn is a very grounding material planet. So it is in this moment of chaos. Saturn is also helping us keep our footing in some way, shape, or form. You know, we all kind of individually have to decide how we're going to kind of combat and help dissolve the system. Are we going to quietly disengage? Are we going to battle? Like, you know, what is our role going to be? But the system is collapsing, and a new one will need to be built up, and we're in that final phase of the simultaneous tearing down and dreaming up. What do we want? What do we want from here? And how do we, while tearing down, simultaneously start building a new system alongside it, so that we don't completely crash and flounder and have total chaos ensue, right? So both are going on at the same time. And like I said, Neptune will be moving into Aries in January, and then Saturn will be moving into Aries in December. So we really just have like a month long to finish this cleaning up. Collectively, that is what's going on. And then individually for you, wherever Pisces is in your chart is where you've been going through a lot of lessons and spiritual renewal and awakening, and with Saturn learning lessons and things like that. So it's time for you also to kind of finish cleaning up that area of your chart. So the other thing I want to talk about is the ruler of Pisces. So Pisces has two rulers, a traditional ruler and a modern ruler. The modern ruler of Pisces is Neptune. So this is, you know, another reason why this energy is so potent right now is because Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. So it's like this double whammy of that type of energy. But the two other things I want to talk about is, number one, the traditional ruler, which is Jupiter, as well as the fact that the North Node is also in Pisces right now. So first I want to talk about Jupiter. So Jupiter is currently retrograde in Cancer, and collectively, you know, Cancer is about nurturing. It is about like the mother and the home and the family, and, you know, a lot of emotional safety. Cancer's ruled by the moon, and the moon represents our emotions. So with Jupiter being retrograde and in Cancer, and it making a trine to Neptune as it stations direct, along with Saturn being there, Saturn can bring like a heaviness with it. I feel like as we're closing things out, and as the world is changing so much right now, and for wherever this is falling for you personally as well, I feel like there's a grieving process going on, right? Cancer being of home and ancestry and things like that. it can be a very nostalgic energy as well. And with Jupiter there expanding, right? Jupiter is the planet of expansion and abundance, and but retrograde, it's internal. So I feel like there can be a lot of grief going on right now as cycles are finishing out, and lessons are being completed, and things are being torn down simultaneously while other things are being built up. I feel like there's like a grief that's going along with that, as well as a lot of nostalgia. So kind of, but Jupiter is about abundance, right? And so retrograde it brings the energy more internal, and how I kind of interpret and feel that energy when I feel into it is kind of this attitude of gratitude, right? And so I feel like with this, there's this grief, but also this being able to look back at where we've come from and having a lot of gratitude for it. And that can be one of the things that helps us stay grounded in this as well, is like, having these realizations about what, on the grander scale, how we've been deceived our whole lives and things like that, and being, mad and sad and all sorts of things like that. But then also being grateful for, being able to look and be grateful for the things that it has brought us, collectively and individually, right? So that's a lot of the energy I'm feeling. Comment below if you are feeling that too. And now I just want to dive into my chart, or at least my sign, Aquarius rising, to look at kind of how this has played out for me personally. And then maybe you can then translate it to your own chart, or comment below if you want me to do a deeper dive by sign on this, and I will do that for you. Before we get into that though, there is one other transit that's going on, that went on along with Mercury turning direct, and that is, or Neptune turning direct, and that is Mercury in Scorpio was opposite Uranus in Taurus. So Mercury in Scorpio wants to dig deep for the truth, right? It wants to go into the shadows, bring light to darkness, have secrets revealed, like all those things. And Uranus is the planet of shock and awe. So if we take Neptune turning direct, which kind of clears the fog, gives us more clarity, and then combine that with this opposition between Mercury and Scorpio wanting truth and secrets revealed, and Uranus and Taurus being the planet of shock and awe. It could be that yesterday you had sudden realization, sudden moments of clarity, sudden aha, sudden knowingness of the next step to take, right? Sudden knowingness of where this is going, or sudden understanding of where we've been, or a sudden revelation of some type. Most likely happened today, or the energy usually lasts for a few days and things like that. So you could review the last couple days and be aware of any sudden insights or clarity that's coming to you over the next couple days, and that can be a result of these transits. And then today, when I'm recording this, December 11th, Mercury is trining Neptune in Pisces, so helping bring that clarity and that truth as well. And it does that right before Mercury enters Sagittarius today, which Mercury in Sagittarius is also the big picture belief system, things like that. So you could have more clarity on what this all this energy means for your bigger worldview and ideology in this world. Also, the other thing I said I would talk about is the fact that the North Node is in Pisces. So like I've said in other videos, it's not like all this clearing out of Pisces, we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater, right? The North Node is in Pisces, wanting us to still engage. Like, we're not throwing out all the Pisces energy. We're just closing out things that for honestly hundreds of years have not, or at least for the last cycle, but potentially even thousands of years, have not worked for us. Like, the energy is that big. We're closing out so much, and the energy of what we're moving into is that big as well, starting new things. So that is why it feels so heavy and everything too, is we're closing out so much, but that doesn't mean we're saying goodbye, like closing out all the Pisces energy, right? That is our connection to each other. That is the compassion, the grace, the universal love, the unconditional love, the God love. It is it's our faith. So it is a very important energy to keep, and the North Node is wanting us to keep the faith, to keep searching, to keep going, but with the understanding that what has been has not been the truth. We have been deceived, and we're in the process of tearing that all down so that we can find the truth. And the North Node here wants us to keep the faith that that truth is coming, and that love and compassion are the way through. That love and compassion for all, for ourselves. Like, the North Node here wants us to be able to really dive into that loving everyone, that universal love. We all are connected. We all are sparks of the divine, and we should treat each other as such. And that is what the North Node in Pisces is, I believe, wanting us to hold on to. Okay, one more reflection I had while I was in the shower is that wherever Neptune is traveling through for us, it wants us to end its cycle, right? Being more spiritually aligned in that house. So for me, with Neptune having gone through finishing up its time in my second house, it wants me to make sure that my money and my value system and my resources, where I spend my time and my money, are spiritually aligned, right? They're aligned with who I am in this moment, in my growth, in this moment of my awareness. And so that is something to look at also. Are you ending the cycle being more spiritually aligned with wherever this has moved through your chart than when you started? And it wants us to do that. And then on a more collective level, that kind of got me thinking about how Saturn rules Capricorn. Capricorn is about work, right? And the hard work that we do, and the commitment that we make to things and things like that. So Neptune is also, I believe, the Neptune and Saturn combined is wanting us to look at not only all the things I already talked about, but wanting to look at how we go about work, right? If Saturn represents work and Neptune represents love and compassion and spiritual alignment, I think that is one of the lessons that we are learning collectively in the midst of the collapse of the systems that are collapsing, right? Financial systems, pretty much all economic systems, all areas of commerce, most areas of commerce are collapsing in some way or other, or shifting or changing, or, and we have all for so long been programmed to go to a job that you don't really like just to earn money. And I think that is one of the overall lessons that this Saturn working with Neptune is really trying to teach us is going into this new world, going into the new versions of ourselves, individually and collectively, to rethink what we think about work. Instead of going to a job that we hate every day and being around people that don't vibe with us at all, let's reimagine work. Let's bring passion and love and creativity, all Neptunian things, back to work. You know, for like the artists and the athletes and stuff like that, you know, they were told, just like other people that didn't make it in those careers, oh, you'll never make it. Probably, right? Maybe not all of them, but for the most part, you know, people have been told all their lives, oh, you love doing that. Well, that's not something that you can make money at easily, so you shouldn't do it, right? We've been discouraged from going after our passions. I know I have. What a disservice, right? Because where our passion lies, where we lose sight in the creativity of whatever it is, it can be anything, right? Where we lose sight of time, and you know, we don't know how long it's been that we've been doing this thing, or we don't know the last time we ate because we have been so focused and so driven and just loving being in our process. Reimagine that we can do those things for work, that us being in our joy is, and creating whatever it is that we want to create, is our biggest gift, not only to ourselves, but to the world at large. If we're in our joy and our creativity and our passion, we're in our most receptive mode, which will keep us most spiritually aligned, and we will be giving our best. We will be bringing ourselves to the world with our cups already full, and be able to give more to the world in that. So I just wanted, that was a revelation, a thought that I had in the shower that I wanted to share with you, as I think that is something that we are moving through collectively and reimagining collectively, and the astrology does definitely support that. So let's run with it and reimagine and reshape this world into something that we all love. Okay, so here's how I look at this energy on a personal level as an Aquarius rising. So this Pisces falls for me in my second house, which is the house of money, and values and self-worth and material possessions, things like that. So with Pisces being in this house for me already, this house therefore is one where I don't have a lot of boundaries, where like a budget, there have been times in my life when I've been really good at budgets, but there's also been a lot of my life where I don't look at my checkbook at all. I have no idea what's going on. I'm kind of afraid of it. Like those types of things. Like it's, I don't have a good handle on it, let's say. And then same with my values, right? So like a lot of, especially throughout my life, but especially since Neptune has been here, you know, since 2011, 2012, my value, my self-worth has gone through significant changes. This is the time period in which I became a mother. In 2011, I became a mother. And now at the end of this cycle, my oldest is a teenager. My youngest is 8, so they are now at this stage where they don't need me as much, right? So over the last, since 2011, my value as a person, I guess, has changed because my roles changed, right? My identity changed because I went from being just Sarah and a wife, a partner to a mother. And so that was a big role. And now that my kids are growing, they need me less, right? So my role and my internal value, where I find my value, that's kind of shifting. I'm not an empty nester yet, but by the end of Neptune's next cycle, I will be. So I'm already kind of grieving their babyhood, right? And kind of going through this phase of looking at what is my internal value, like how do I feel valuable as a person to the people in my life, where do I find my value, as well as, during this time I've been very fortunate for the most part to be a stay-at-home mom. So I have not really had my own finances. Neptune dissolves things, right? So over this time period, Neptune has dissolved my own personal finances. So as my kids get older and as my, the seasons change and as I change, that is changing. And, I desire to have my own money and to make my own way and not rely on being support. I have worked during this time, but it's been with my partner, whether that is my ex-husband or my current partner. And, I want to continue doing that. I love doing that. Personally, my North Node is in my 7th house, so relationships and working with my significant other is a very big portion of where I do find my value and where I do find these things. But I also have this desire, as this cycle of my kids needing me less. My oldest is going to be driving pretty soon, and so I'm already envisioning how that's going to change everything. He's going to be the taxi driver for himself and for my kids and all that stuff. So this is a big shift, and it's closing out a big cycle for me, as well as Saturn, like needing to develop a budget, needing to have a better understanding, like needing to know these things, right? Like it's taking care of your own money, taking care of your own resources is a big deal, and I need to get a grasp on that. Looking at as well the Jupiter being the ruler, the co-ruler of this sign in a trine here, that indicates that, a lot of opportunities and healing might come from my 6th house of daily habits and routines. So, in tearing these things down and building new things up, I might look to my 6th house to see how my daily habits, routines, how I serve others, how my work, how my health. Both of these can be health too. 2nd house can be how you nourish your body. 6th house is health, how your daily routine. So what you're eating, what you're doing, how you're exercising on a daily basis. All those things are coming in to support this final cleanup of what is going on in the 2nd house. So, to look for some solutions, I'm looking to how I can utilize my daily habits and routines and the structure of my life, how I take care of myself in order to finish tearing down and even, tearing down old belief systems I have about money, like how much I could make, what I'm worth, or even just, do I define success by money, like those types of things, or do I define success by having an easy flowing day and things like that. So those are things that are coming up for me personally. And so looking for you, seeing where Pisces is and looking to where Cancer and Jupiter are could provide some benefits. And then the other thing is Jupiter is here making this square, providing a lot of healing opportunities to this Chiron in Aries, which I talked about in the December forecast. And the Chiron in Aries is our Chiron is the wounded healer. In Aries, it's like our I am. for me, it is maybe where I've kept my voice quiet for the sake of others, or haven't felt like my voice mattered, or things like that. So I'm doing a lot of work here. But what's fascinating is I also looked to see what the chart was for the day that Neptune came into Pisces. So I'm going to pull that up. So I just find this fascinating that back on February 3rd, 2012, when Neptune made its final ingress into Pisces and stopped doing the back and forth like we've had this year, it was conjunct Chiron, right? So that was part of the lesson, part of the healing. So Neptune was coming to, help heal any wounds that we have in the Pisces area. So maybe religious wounds, spirituality wounds, or for me personally, any wounds I have regarding self-value, right? So, it's kind of fascinating because previous to this, right, I had made my own money. I've always made my own money. I'd been really good with a budget, like yada, yada, yada. And then here I come into motherhood and I'm a stay-at-home mom, not earning, like my entire internal value system, my money system, it all changed. And so, there's been kind of this wound, I guess, of like, where is my value and things like that. But now Chiron has moved over here to finding my voice and healing wounds about not being heard or seen or things like that. So that is fascinating that as Neptune is now closing out its cycle, and as I'm kind of working on this internal value system, the wound of maybe not feeling heard or seen or things like that is being worked on at the same time, and they kind of go together. So I'd be interested to see how yours might go together and flow from one to the other, right? And how you could see that progress. So there's that. And then the other thing, Venus was here, which is all about, money and relationships. And Venus rules my 9th house of overall belief systems and higher education and things like that. So changing belief systems. And during this time period on a larger scale, through my children, I have had massive spiritual awakenings. So my belief system has changed. So it could be interesting to see where Venus was for you, or what. So Venus rules Libra and Taurus. So it could be interesting to see where Venus rules for you, because this shift of Neptune through this cycle for me did have a lot to do with my 4th house, my growing family, and my belief systems, right? Because with each kid, I went through a different level of spiritual awakening. They've been really instrumental and key to that for me. And then finally looking to Jupiter, the ruler of Neptune and the ruler of Pisces, was in my 4th house of home and family. And where Jupiter is, it brings abundance and luck, and my family grew, right? Like I went from 0 kids to 3 kids in this time period. So I would be interested to see where Jupiter falls for you, and what in regards to your home it changed in regards to your money, your values, your finances. If you're an Aquarius rising, right, these things can manifest in many different ways, but this is just an example of how it manifested for me and how I look at this in my own chart. So then again, if we go back to today's chart or yesterday's chart, Wednesday, December 10th, for the moment that Neptune stations direct, and figuring out, the final lessons, looking to see what kind of Neptune, when it entered in, what its storyline was going to be for its cycle with us in Pisces was. Now we can have a better idea of what we're closing out. And so with, Saturn here, we're finishing tearing down any structures that didn't serve us, and ideas and limiting beliefs and any victim mentality. We're tearing all of that down to rebuild new, and part of the rebuilding and tearing down for Aquarius and Aquarius risings has to do with, like, this final push has to do with your daily habits, routines, how you serve others, how you work, how you want to work, how you can structure your life in order to complete the lessons of Neptune and Saturn going through this house, whatever it is for you, as well as getting the clarity of how to move forward. So that is what Jupiter is bringing us. That's what we're working through right now. So I would be interested to see how you're feeling this, either if you're an Aquarius rising or any other rising sign. And if you do, again, want me to go through this on a collective level, or just help guide you, comment below and I can do that. I just thought it would be interesting to see, how I do this for myself to get a better picture of the storyline. This is a much longer recording than I anticipated, but I hope that it has been helpful. And next year, when these planets move, we really are individually and collectively entering a new area. We are becoming new versions of us. We're becoming a new world. And so this is big, and I hope this was helpful. And just comment below if it was. And again, any interaction you can give, a like, subscribe, a comment, does greatly help my channel grow. And I look forward to seeing you here for the next video. And I will try to start posting the daily astrology shorts again. It's just been busy trying to get out these December videos, so I haven't had time to do those. Anyway, until next time.